She also failed to mention that Crystal can be in one of these positions. Anybody can. So, well, and once again, welcome. So, again, another part of today is networking. So, if you are sitting at a table with only your people, somebody find another chair at the table. Okay, please do so. Because we want to build in networking. And like Janet said, with some of the listserv, sometimes you get an answer from somebody and you've met them and you're like, oh yeah, I remember they were good at what they were talking about. I want to learn from them. So it's a fantastic organization. Listserv information is fantastic. And also, some of you I know, and be ready, I might throw you under the bus for positions. All right. Those of you at tables with the orange folder, I need you to select one person at your table, and you're going to be the orange folder person, okay? You're going to be my contact person. Whenever I say reach in and grab something, that's what you're going to do, okay? Now, those of you that are at tables without the orange folders, the person that has been selected just now at the tables with the orange folders will hand you some information so that we can all share. And we may have to share a few of these, okay? So be patient. We're going to do a little bit of, and I say very little, tiny bit of role play, just pretend a little bit. It's nothing going to be out of your comfort zone, okay? I don't do role playing stuff, so if I can do it, all right? So conference theme. What's our workshop theme? Frontline workshop theme. Communication. So we're going to communicate a little bit, okay? Truly focusing on any one aspect of communication and peacekeeping is ideal, okay? It's what we talk about today is going to fit for some people, and it's not going to fit for other people. All right, so don't think this is a one-size-fits-all. All right, but our goal is to find, maybe help you recognize there's something that we can improve on, because we're not all perfect people, right? I know some of my staff think I am, but I'm not. I tell them that all the time. But we want to find something that we can improve on, because we can. And because we're human beings, we are fallible creatures, we can find something to improve on. And that's the goal. Find something. It doesn't have to be a big, gigantic, over-the-cliff improvement, but a step, okay? So hope you find something today, find that at least that step, and can move forward. All right. So your point person that's at your table, if you will open your orange folder, but not beforehand, and grab the forms that say number 1. All right, and hand those out to people at your table. If you have extras, please raise your hand at the other tables without the orange folders, because we'd like you to share this information with them. All right, and this is where a little bit of our role play is going to come in, okay? So please share with the tables that don't have the orange forms. Okay, I know everybody has pens. If you don't have pens, you've got extra pens as well. Anybody need pens? Notice my OTEs didn't come in. I didn't say pen. Y'all need a pen? There's some pens right here. Okay. All right, so now here's where we begin. So you have just walked into my office, and you told me you want to come to my school. And I said, okay, fill this out. All right, go ahead. Fill it out.
You want us to fill it out?
Yeah, I want you to fill it out. All right, LaDonna, did you have a question? I'm sorry, I saw your hand.
Do we have to fill this out right now? Or can we just talk about it?
Well, I really would like you to fill this out, because this will help you later on make the process easier, and it will help us get you to the right advice. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a translator?
Well, we did transliterate it for you. Is that okay? Just go ahead and fill it out right now, all right? Yeah, just go ahead and fill it out.
One of them's got to be.
Joni, I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Yes. Can you go through this and explain it to me?
Sure. Shalom. Now, go ahead and start. Sorry. Okay, look, we're working on a beta form to make this easier, you know. Your point person, if you're ready, grab number 2 and go ahead, that should help you. We're trying to make this easier for people, so it's not as hard as it used to be for our older folks. So if you would just go ahead and do that. So your point people, go ahead and fill this out. All right, so this should be easier. We tried to make it easier because, you know, people that came before you had to do a lot more than this. So surely you can fill this out. Yes, ma'am. The first line on this form, it says hello. It says hello. If you'll just get to that, you'll do it in order, it'll make sense, okay? Just fill it out in order, it'll make sense. Everybody, come on. Yeah. All right, Carrie, I'm sorry, you had a question, yes?
I'm having a hard time with this one. Can you help me, or is there some other information I can go through first to understand this better?
Okay. We're really trying to make this easy, guys. Just fill it out. And then I can help you. All right, nothing shenanigans, really. Okay, your point person, if you guys want to know what this is, if you pull out number 3, this is the easy version of what I've asked you to fill out. Okay? But when you do this, there really is a point behind this. Okay, most of us have stuff that we do every day with people that we take for granted, that they have not heard terminology that we're used to, that they have not seen the things we're doing all the time. And when they ask us, we've seen this 1,000 times a day. So of course it makes sense to us. It doesn't make sense to some people. Even if they started college before, your college is different from somebody else's. So, actually I have one more thought bubble here, so. But, let's switch my notes here. So, this is, now you got the English course, now we all know what I was really asking, which is very simplified curricular application process. But we're going to talk about communication today. I was a poor communicator, but I wasn't just now because my body language. I'm going to cover that just for a minute, okay? We don't want to ignore body language because it's important. We all know about it, but most of the time we forget about it. We forget that our body language can sometimes betray our actions and even our attitudes. Worse yet, we ignore it. Okay, I mean, I was focusing on smiling the whole time. Okay, and you were giving me a hard time, and I'm just like, she works with students. All right, and then of course, you know, not once did I say what I was actually thinking, which is, but you didn't need the thought bubbles to tell you what I was thinking, you know, because I was ready to just start rapping on the desktop here. Oh my goodness, people fill this out. And we do that with students all the time when they come in. Because we've seen things 1,000 times, we forget that we've seen things. We have to communicate with people. We're going to do some tips a little bit later. Most everything you're going to hear from me today, I have stolen from Celeste Headley and her TED Talk. So feel free to catch that. You'll hear the exact same thing, but I'm giving her the credit because I am a registrar and I know for that. And we can't do those kind of things. Or anybody that's in school, you know, you can't steal everybody's stuff, but I'm stealing hers, but I'm giving her credit. All right. And then, of course, at the end, it's attitude, too. I can say everything all day long with a smile, but if I'm treating my student like they should have known this when they don't, they're not going to learn it. I do need to take the time and explain. You know, now you were very good. You've had communication skills. She's like, tell me what number 4 says. No, that ruins the game. Okay, but students don't have that within them. Sometimes students do. Sometimes students go overboard and they're like, look, if you don't help me with this, it's not going to happen. Most students don't have that wherewithal about them, especially if they're first gen. Especially if their parents have never been and can't help them, they're on their own. Or even if their parent comes with them, the parent may have the same question. you know, this is not all gonna focus on first infants, it's gonna focus on communication, but I didn't want to neglect body language. So whatever you learn today, whatever you hear today, don't forget your body is going to tell something about you, all right? If I can come up here and smile, but my attitude stinks, you guys aren't gonna listen to me whatsoever. And I'm just Crystal, you probably shouldn't listen to me anyway, I'm gonna repeat what other people say, so listen to them, all right? But, so, now we're gonna get started. Well, let's do this. How could some of the stuff we were discovering that I was doing improperly, how could that have been improved or handled differently? What would you have done? Yes, ma'am.
We tend to give step-by-step direction, and almost assume that they know nothing.
That's a great way to start. People will let you know if they know something, and you're treating them like they don't. They will let you know. Yes, ma'am.
Speak their language.
Very good. Okay. Shalom. You don't get that? But it can mean a lot. It's not really hello. Let's start back. So, okay, and you recognize that was Hebrew and Greek. My dead language skills were 20 years ago, so I transliterated. I did not give you the Hebrew, and anybody that knows Hebrew will know that as soon as you see it. So I'm not pretending that I can remember any of that. In my Hebrew pronunciation, I wrote it out, but then I chickened out because my Hebrew pronunciation was 6 these days. All right. Okay. Any other suggestions? Treat each one like the first one. That's hard for us to remember. We were there once too.
Sit down and say, well, let's sit down and we'll get it together.
Great point. Yeah. So, I noticed nobody said, do you understand? Because that's a yes or no question. You're going to get no helpful feedback if you ask that kind of question. All right. Now, what can you say instead of that question? What don't you understand? What do you understand? And we'll talk about those in a minute too. Okay, everyone, wherever you're at, go ahead and stop and raise the board, and let's see how much looks alike, how much doesn't. Now, okay, you set the board down, but don't look at the pieces yet. I want your feedback. This is my time to listen to you. So tell me, 1 or 2, how was that experience for you? Did anybody have to start all over? Did you get no answers and you had to rearrange what your words were to get your thoughts conveyed? All right. Anybody else? 1 or 2? Any thoughts? 1s and 2s? Yes.
Something that worked at our table was she took what she knew she understood and started building on that and using it over and over.
Great. Great. How many of you guys get students that understand a little bit, but they're not the end yet? And you're gonna have to take them there step by step. Yes, ma'am.
We got the parts where they were supposed to, but I failed to say which direction. So
So you're not perfect. And so I am so disappointed. Anybody else? Not yet. But because this is not the listening game just yet, other than number 1 listening to you to say yes or no that you understand. This was a challenge for the speaker to think in a different way because they said what they know to say, but you didn't get it. So now the challenge is for them to think of a way to say the same thing differently. How many of you have mastered a way to say no 15 different times? Other than no, 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 nope, not gonna do it. We've done, as registrars and admissions people, We have to be talented. Did you know you have that talent? Okay, but sometimes you need to think about it, okay? Now, those of you watching, is there any frustrations?
Yes.
Yeah, technically, you're almost there. All right, well, any comments from the peanut gallery that was watching? Any other comments? Your girl was good, okay. Wow, yes,
It
ma'am.
was frustrating because I couldn't tell her to turn the pink triangle around. And then it would have been perfect.
Well, peanut gallery, now it's your turn. We're gonna give you the opportunity to learn from the guinea pigs. Now, let me say this, some of you out there are pretty creative people. I saw a scene with a tree and the house, the beach going on, like a condo thing. I'm like, I put it all in a pile and say stack it up, making trash cans. I'm done. But you guys are pretty creative in your communication. All right, I want to hear from number ones. Tell me about your communication. What were you sensing? What were you getting your feedback? How did you feel when you were communicating? You wanted more communication? You wanted them to ask the questions? Yeah, okay.
I felt pressure actually. I have to say this the right way.
Okay. Well, we've got to do that in our jobs, whether admissions or registration. We've got to say things in the right way to help the students get to where they need. Because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know where to get to. Even if we tell them, go over to HET building and see so-and-so. What is HET?
Go see the bursar.
What the bursar? Anybody know what a bursar is? Know what it means in Latin, by the way? Anybody? Where's my cowboy at, people? What does bursar mean?
Keeper of the money.
There you go. What does registrar mean?
Keeper of the record.
There we go. All right. I saw a hand over. Yes.
Details are vitally important.
What? Shocker. I can't just come and take classes. That's all I want to do. I just want to come and take classes and learn. They forget this is also a learning process. Folks, you guys are teachers. Whether you like it or not, whether you ever went to school for that or not, you are teachers. And we need to help our students learn the process. Any other number one comments? Number two. Give me some, what did you think? How did you feel with this?
I appreciated when she used words that couldn't be misconstrued, like
North. Okay.
Well,
If I wasn't north, I know north, but in here, I'm like.
not north outside. But
Anybody else? Number two? What were you feeling? Okay, sorry, I can't hear her, folks. Sometimes details are confusing. You ever get so many details, like you've got a list of 10 things and you stopped at 2 because you can't remember it? But I heard 7. I know 7's in there. Sometimes we can get bogged down in details.
I liked how she related herself to me so that I could understand.
Okay. All right, peanut gallery, your turn. What was it like 1s and 2s that were 1 and 2 last time watching this time?
It was very frustrating.
Okay.
It's not turning it the right way.
I just wanted to go.
Just turn it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's easy once you're watching it.
Oh.
You can see, oh man, how come they don't see that? But you're looking down.
Are you reading my notes?
Yeah.
It is easier to critically think through some things when you're watching and the pressure's not on you. Unfortunately, we don't always have that luxury on the job, do we? So this is an exercise to practice that. Now, it's not going to give you communication skills, but it will help point out maybe where we can think through where our communication skills are a little weaker, okay, and what we need to do. Now, there's all sorts of helps out there to help our communication skills improve. Some of them are laughable, some of them are fantastic. The point is, again, not one size fits all. Okay, we hope to find something today that we're going to talk through a few in just a minute. And then the expert's going to come up and give us better stuff than whatever I'm saying. Okay. We're gonna do this one more time. This is the last time. So if you're just dying to do this, this is your chance, okay? So switch up, people. All right, everyone. We're gonna go through these questions again. Number one. Talk to me. Number one. You have, this is the third experience, and you had the benefits of others before you. How did it go for you as a number one?
Still frustrated.
Still frustrated.
I literally had a great thing for what I just said.
Hey, everybody. Hey, we're gonna have a few minutes to converse, and I'm glad that you're conversing. This is the networking stuff, but give me a few minutes so we can hear what the others are saying, okay? All right, what did you say, Mr. Eric?
Oh, just, you have to rethink as you're communicating this. I asked her a couple times, do you understand? She said no. So I had to go back and rethink what I just told her and go in a different direction.
Was that learning? So you went in a different direction. You didn't repeat it. You went in a
You
different
know,
direction.
I just, like, I told her at one point, I was telling her like these, like horizontal, like the vertical, like portrait.
Right.
Because the language I'm using, some may not understand.
Oh, very good. I heard somebody say a line to the right. Oh, that's good. That's good. So I saw back there, those condominium people built like a flower pot. So, number one, anybody else? Yes.
I gave some visuals, like the paint splotch I put on a ball, so I said like a person sitting on a ball, to, kind of the orientation of it.
Orientation, okay. Orientation is a good way to think of your students, but if you don't start them in the right direction, you don't orientate them, there's a word there. If you don't point them in the right direction, okay, they start to veer off. If they keep going, that's only a little bit off, but by the time they get down the road, where are they at? They're way off. So yeah, we've got important roles. Anybody else? Okay, number twos. Now you have great listening skills now because this is the third experience. So I expect you to say it was all perfect and you understood everything. Right? Yes.
It took a lot longer than the first two groups because we took our time, but it was smooth sailing.
Ooh.
Other than just more time.
Okay. Anybody else?
Just listen for details, once you just get the details, those practice, figure everything in order, kind of how this developed. Sometimes first can be listen for details, just a couple things, and just kind of get out of context. So that's what I was trying to do.
Listen to details. Don't you wish you could have students listen to details? Look, I wish I could have employees listen to details. Anybody else? I'm just for the record, I'm gonna knock on my employees all day long because I know they're big enough to handle it. They know I'm a jokester, but my employees are great. Let me say that for the record. So, any other number twos?
Just watching and doing it the first time. So when you're in the office and there's a lot of
Noise, background
Yes.
noise?
Especially if you have a
That's a great comment.
Yeah.
Because we never get students with any disabilities, do we? So now we've got to change gears. We've still got to think through our communication and how we're communicating, but we may have to add in that separate contingency of where they're coming from. We need to understand where they're coming from and maybe update our communication. Yes.
When we started, she was talking and we told her we couldn't hear, so it switched to the louder person talking.
That's my employee. I got her down.
Yeah, not LaDonna.
Oh, well, I didn't tell my employee though. Great. That's a fantastic move. Sometimes we need to hand the student off. Okay, sometimes we need to hand the student off. Don't be afraid to do that if your office is set up where you can do that. And if you're the receiving person, don't be afraid to take that student. Okay. Now, if you're giving, don't give every student off. Okay? Your coworkers will not like you. Okay. And so it could be really bad.
In some cases, with y'all's job, my job is probably totally different, but you have to be careful not to be offensive in the fashion of dumbing it down too much for them. And I use that word loosely, but maybe they're a whole lot smarter than you think, and they're just not applying themselves.
You think maybe you just got a smart, shy person? I'll tell you right up front, I'm the dumb person, and I'm gonna be loud, so I'm gonna ask you questions. But there's a fine line sometimes in figuring out who your student is and addressing their needs and concerns, especially if they're not being verbal with you. Sometimes you only have their body language to go by, and we know body language can be good and it can be deceiving. So y'all have a great task ahead of you, right? And you're all experts at it, right? All right, peanut gallery. Was this harder, more frustrating to watch again because they still don't get it? Or was it easier because they've learned now? This is the third time.
Hilarious to me.
Okay. Hilarious? How so?
Simply because, we are looking and we're saying, oh, well, why didn't you say that? Well, you could have said this direction and then maybe she would have got it. Or you're looking and you're saying, oh, well, Peter said this direction instead of that direction. So just watching the miscommunication was hilarious.
I'm classic for, somebody's talking and I can't, my face betrays me. They said something that spurred a thought and I can't hide it at that point. And I can't take it back. And I totally interrupted them and thrown them off. But yes, and then they're down here. I'm like, and just mess with everybody. Don't be Crystal. So yes.
I learned from it because he was so good about describing exactly where he wanted, and whenever she didn't understand, then he would, switch it around and because they got it exactly right.
Oh wow.
So I actually learned from how he explained things.
Now I listened to you, but I gotta admit I stopped when she said I learned something because I'm thinking mic drop. I'm done. Yes, ma'am.
I oftentimes, students come along, they'll have somebody with them. Right? And the student might not get it, but the person who's with them is getting it. And sometimes they can help you communicate with their students. So I was also observing the peanut gallery and watching the art. I was like, whoa, I got it. So I'm like, okay, move on. Sometimes that if the friend or the they bring with them gets it and can actually help you put it in words that they understand.
So take the help where you can get it. Okay. Well, I hope that was enjoyable. If you would do me a favor and put your separate pieces in the bags they came in, because I'm actually going to give those to somebody so they can do this with their group or whatever. Okay. So again, that was an exercise that I learned in college. This exercise kind of teaches us where we might have to change up our communication, but it doesn't give us any helps other than letting us know where we maybe need to look for some help. So that one wasn't I can learn this, but we can learn something, right? I hope you learned something about yourself. I hope you learned something about listening to others, because really communication is a conversation. What are some points that you need to conversation? What is a good conversation? Anybody? Well, I'm going to take what Celeste Headley said is a good conversation. She gives 10 points on a good conversation in her TED Talk, and that's what I'm going to share with you. Her points, okay? If I don't do them justice, it's my fault, not hers. So listen to her TED Talk, it'll be great, okay? So, again, my understanding of communication is conversation. Because I need to talk to you, but I need to listen to you back and forth to street, okay? And so that's my approach to communication today. All right, so first, don't multitask. You may be great at multitasking. Do that when it's appropriate. But when it comes to a conversation, be present. Be in the moment. This is one of my weaknesses. You can ask my staff. They will come in and they were explaining, and I had something in my hand or I was doing email and I have to stop and I have to put it down. And I have to ask them to repeat themselves. And I shouldn't have to do that. They shouldn't have to do that. They should have my attention. All right. Keys, cell phone. I'm always have a cell phone in my hand. Sometimes it's work, sometimes it's family, whatever. My attention at the office is my students and my coworker. I need to put the cell phone down, put my keys down, focus on them. All right. I just told myself. I can multitask with other things, but not conversation. I'm not good at it. All right. Don't pontificate, all right? If you want to state your thoughts without any feedback or conversation or argument or disagreement or heaven forbid correction, write a blog, okay? And don't read the comments, all right? When somebody is coming to you, they're not coming to you for you to just tell everything you know. Now, sometimes you need to give them everything you know about what they need, but not everything that you know that makes you the person, the wonderful person that you are. All right? And I know you're wonderful people because you're here and you're wanting to do better and you're here to learn. This one, your hands are tied behind your back with this exercise that we just went through. Okay? But use open-ended questions. So what is that? It's not the yes or no question, okay? Yes or no questions are going to get you yes or no answers, right? They're not going to help you understand your students or your employer sometimes, or your employees. If I ask my boss a yes or no question, she's going to give me a direct answer. And it doesn't help me out necessarily. I'm trying to understand something. Same thing with students, same thing with employees, same thing with coworkers. All right. A yes or no question doesn't tell me. If I say, were you with someone? Did you wait long? Are you hurt? Those are big questions if you're in an accident. But that doesn't tell me that you and your BFF had a flat tire at midnight and you ran off the side of the road, but your airbag didn't deploy, but the tow truck was right behind you and got you home by 1 a.m. So you're safe. You know, understand your audience. Try to understand your audience. If you don't, ask questions. The good question that we talked about earlier, do you understand? Really is an awful question when it comes to your students learning their path to education. What's the better question? What do you understand? What do you not understand? Okay? And be prepared for an answer. That's not a yes or no answer. And then help them out. Other examples, if I asked you guys, did you like the communication exercise earlier? You can say yes or no. You can say yes to not hurt my feelings. You can say no because you don't care about my feelings. That's okay. But if I ask you, what did you like about that exercise? Then you explain to me what you thought about it, and I can improve it for somebody else later on down the road. Okay? Go with the flow. That means thoughts will come to your mind. This is the one I'm the worst at. You guys were talking and I heard these great things. I'm like, oh, I want to write it down. Or I'm just like a kid in a candy store. That's great. I want to remember that. And my face betrays me. But when I'm with a student, that's not what I should be doing. I need to watch my body language with that. All right. And I just need to listen to them and go with where they're moving. All right. This is not my moment to shine. Don't. It's not your moment to shine. Don't. All right. Let them explain where they're at and help them get where they need to be. Okay. Don't steal their thunder. We have seen aha moments from students our entire careers, whether it's a short career or a long career. I need to let those students have those aha moments because that will cement that learning for a lifetime. All right, let people have their thunder. If you don't know, say you don't know. I can't emphasize that one enough. Now, people that work with students, don't say I don't know and stop. It's a good thought to say you don't know the answer, but what's a good response? Let me find out. Let me find someone who can. Let me take your name, your number, and your email. I will get that answer to you. Okay? So err on the side of caution with this. Talk shouldn't be cheap. All right? We need to find out answers. Don't just stop. Like a cookie, yes, I do that all the time. I'm almost finished, not done. All right. Don't equate your experience with theirs. Now, this one you have to take with a grain of salt. Some people learn by hearing stories of others. I'm a history buff. I want to hear the story. If I go to a place and I hear the local history from somebody who's experienced it, I learn it way better than I do reading. And I love reading. I'm an avid reader. Okay. But for some people, They don't need your experience. They need to learn what they need to know. Okay, so this one, she's all right with from this point, you know. I'm gonna tell you what she said, but I'm a little iffy on this one. But that's my style with my personality. Your style and your personality is gonna be a little different. Okay, but she says with this, and I kind of get where she's going. Your experience and theirs, it's not the same. It will never be the same because you're not them, and they're not you. You have different socioeconomic backgrounds, you have different growing up, you have different rearing, you have different religions, you have different thought process, different education backgrounds, different parents that say, I'm gonna kick you till you get it done, or parents, oh, I want to show you. Those affect how we learn and how we remember things. So this one, take with a grain of salt and do what you feel your student is, you and your student are comfortable with, or you and your coworker are comfortable with. Okay. Most conversations, remember this though, most conversations are not meant to be promotional ads. So you need to share your expenses, do that, but this is not bragging time. Oh yeah, well I did this, and I'm better than that. All right. Try not to repeat yourself. I understand sometimes our first inclination is to repeat exactly what we just said. Or we say it slower. Or we say it louder. Because that helps, right? Look, if somebody didn't understand what you said to begin with, the exact same words are not going to help them understand it any better. That's what some of this communication exercise did. You can say put it on the right all day long, but if they don't understand what right you mean, is it right catty corner? Is it right top? Is it right bottom? Is it aligned perfectly parallel? Is it perpendicular on the right corner? It's not going to help them understand anymore to just say put it on the right. Put it on the right. Got it? Do you understand? All right. If someone doesn't know what YOLO means, repeating YOLO doesn't help them learn it. Same thing with FERPA, FAFSA, OACRO. Use your words. They matter. I couldn't find a weed, so I made a maze. And I should have just said stay out of the maze, but we've got to be in the maze. That's our job. We're in the maze every day. We are maze runners, right? Helping our students get there. People don't care about names and dates and deadlines, academic deadlines, and all of the details that you're regurgitating to them at the moment. They want to get enrolled. They want to get admitted. Okay, now those are important, and we know that they're important, so we have to share them with them. All right? But this is about them, and we're going to have to find ways to communicate with them what is important, even after the fact, even after they're admitted. Yes, you're going to get enrolled, we're going to help you get enrolled, but you need to know these are other things that are important to you. Just getting enrolled is not all there is to school. Like, going to class matters. Like, if you are not comfortable with the computer, we need to teach you. We need to, because everything has a online experience with it. Almost every class at any school these days has an online component to it. You submit homework online, you may take tests online. Even if you meet every day for class in person, most likely you have some online aspect to your in-person class. And you may need to take a learner course or a refresher course on how to do that kind of stuff. Even though you're an on-hand person who want to take the in-person class, there's going to be aspects you need to be aware of. All right. Now, let me find my notes here. I didn't have my finger on my place. We have to show them we care about them being here, not just that they're enrolled, not just that they're accepted, but they're in the right place for them. But they're in the right major. We had a student say she was adamant about being a nurse. Her calling was to be a nurse. For some reason, we let her take a not a placement test, but a personality test. She didn't like people. Let me tell you something, dear. Maybe phlebotomy and you go into studying blood or something, but if you want to be a nurse, you're going to interact with people. So sometimes helping and listening to our student and knowing where they're at is telling them the hard things. Like maybe this isn't for you. Maybe, and please don't tell any bosses that I said this, maybe this isn't the school for you. And we've got a better option for you. Go to my bosses. We have to be aware of their circumstances, okay? We have to be informed by them. But we don't let those circumstances limit them. We need to point them in a way that's away from their circumstances, or so that they can learn from their circumstances to have a better future. Okay? Oh my goodness. Ding, 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 ding. This is the hard one. This is a really hard one, but if you can master this, actually, not even master it, if you can do better at this today than you were yesterday, I can't tell you you are heads and shoulders above where you were yesterday. But this is the hard one, because this is not passive. If you listen to somebody, it's active. It takes energy. Okay, it takes concentration, and I'm awful at those. But this is what I need to learn to do better. Okay, because if I'm listening to them, I can hear their circumstances, where they're coming from. If I'm listening to them, I know where they're stuck in the maze. If I'm listening to them, I know what they know when they don't know, without asking some of the yes or no questions or the other better questions. All right? I think it was Buddha said, your mouth is open for your ears. They're closed. Your mouth is open when they're talking, you're not listening to it. All right? Calvin Coolidge said, no man ever listens his way out of a job. Can't argue with that logic. All right? It takes effort, it takes energy to listen to someone. If you're not listening to someone, you are not learning from them. Okay? Learning how you can help them, learning what they need help with. If you're not listening, you are not in a conversation. You are not communicating. You are just two people shouting barely related sentences in the same place. So listen to understand, not listen to respond. Sometimes we need to take a moment and gather our thoughts to respond, but don't be listening so that you can immediately just, unless this is where the student needs to go, unless this is what your coworker needs to do, because you've heard them and where they're lost or where they need help with. Listen to understand and help, not listen to just respond. I can converse with lots of people that I have differences with, different politically, different religiously, and I can enjoy those conversations. But I have to listen to them to know where our conversation is going so that I can have that conversation. If not, it's just me talking about what I know, whether they know it or not. And I may be repeating what they know. I might be telling them what they do, but I don't know because I haven't listened. Okay. We're done. Not really. But be brief. Again, going back to that, don't pontificate. You don't have to share your life story. There may be opportunities and times for that, okay? But usually with your students, when you've allotted 20 minutes and you have to see 3 students an hour, not the time. There are occasions where those students need a few more minutes, but there are occasions when you've got students who you don't need the 20 minutes. Just they know what they want, give them the answers and go. All right.